Patrik Berglund had spent 9 seasons being almost exactly what the Blues needed. On one cold Saturday night in Montreal, he finally got the one thing he'd never had. This is Blue 19, the Patrik Berglund episode. And it's February 11th, 2017, and the Blues are in a strange place. They're 28, 22, and 5 coming in. That's a playoff position, but it doesn't feel secure. Ken Hitchcock was fired 10 days prior. Mike Yeo took over ahead of schedule. St. Louis is trying to determine whether this is real or if it's the temporary bounce that teams sometimes enjoy from switching coaches midseason. So far, it looks real. The Blues have won 3 straight on the road. They're 4-1 under Yeo. Jake Allen settled down, and the penalty kill hasn't allowed a goal since the change. Montreal, meanwhile, is almost the opposite. The Canadiens still lead the Atlantic Division, but they've won only once in their prior 5 games, and the whole operation is getting sus. They've got Carey Price, Shea Weber, and Max Pacioretty. On paper, that's pretty scary, but in practice, Montreal's one bad weekend away from changing coaches. So when does a coaching change become more than a sugar rush? Is it the record, the body language, or do you only know after the first bad stretch? This is the 4th game of a 4-city trip for St. Louis. 6 days, 4 road buildings, and not much gas left. But instead of folding, Patrik Berglund takes over. Berglund is born June 2nd, 1988 in Västerås, Sweden. He comes up through Vic Västerås, and he's not a tiny finesse prospect trying to survive against older players. He's 6'4", left-handed, and already built like an NHL center. The Blues take him in the first round, 25th overall in 2006. He stays in Sweden for 2 more seasons and produces well over a point per game. So by the time he reaches St. Louis in 2008, he's ready. His rookie season is still probably the cleanest version of what everybody imagined. Berglund scored 21 goals, 47 points, made the All-NHL rookie team, and gave the Blues a huge young center who could skate better than a guy that size should be able to. 2 years later, he reaches a career-high 52 points. He scores 22 goals, and the ceiling still looks high. Then his career gets a little bit harder to define. He's useful every year. He can play center or wing. He can work the boards, defend, and score on the power play. Then he can disappear for a week and suddenly again look like the most dangerous forward on the ice. That made him frustrating and valuable. A first-round pick who becomes a good middle six forward succeeded. A first-round pick who occasionally looks capable of more gets judged against those flashes forever. And what do you remember most about Berglund? Do you remember how big he was? The streakiness? The playoff goals? Or did you get the feeling that number 21 was on the Blues forever? He also becomes a major player for Sweden and wins Olympic silver in Sochi in 2014. By this night, he's played more than 600 NHL games, all with St. Louis. There's just one odd blank on the resume. He's never had a hat trick. And that starts changing 3:49 into this game. Alex Pietrangelo sends a perfect shot/pass towards the crease. Berglund goes to the net, gets his stick on it, and Al Montoya is moving the wrong way, 1-0 Blues. It's Berglund's 15th goal, and that sounds normal until you see how he got there. He scored once in his first 30 games, and by the end of his night, he'll have 16 in his next 25. That's Berglund in one sentence. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Then the goals arrive in bunches. Montreal enters late in the first. Weber blasts one from the right point, and it gets through Allen. Afterward, Allen's brutally honest. He says a peewee goalie should have stopped it. It's 1-1. The Blues retake the lead at 7:20 of the second when David Perron controls the puck with his skate, pulls it to his forehand, and beats Montoya. It's Perron's first goal in 13 games. But Montreal answers again. Pacioretty was sent home from the morning skate with the flu. Apparently, that doesn't prevent him from scoring goal number 28. So at 12:55, it's 2-2. And now the game feels like it's leaning towards Montreal. The Canadiens are generating more shots. The Blues, they're tired. Every St. Louis lead has lasted only a few minutes. Then Berglund gets one more chance before intermission. There's 25 seconds left in the second. He gets the puck in the slot, releases it quickly, and beats Montoya. 3-2 Blues. And that goal mattered more than the first, because the first gave St. Louis a lead. The second forces Montreal to chase the game again, then sit in the room and think about it. The third period is basically Montreal pushing and Allen surviving. His biggest sequence comes 5 minutes in. He gets his stick on Alexander Radulov's wraparound, then stops Pacioretty from point-blank range. St. Louis doesn't have much gas left in the tank, but it doesn't really need very much. It needs structure, a couple saves, and one clean exit at a time. By the way, Montreal's mascot, Youppi, used to belong to the Montreal Expos. After the Expos left for Washington, the Canadiens adopted him, and that made Youppi the only mascot to officially transfer from one major North American league to another. That has nothing to do with Berglund, except that Youppi was somewhere in the building watching a Swedish center ruin everybody's Saturday night. Montreal pulls Montoya. Perron has the empty net, but instead of taking the goal, he leaves the puck for Berglund, who drops it in with 1:01 remaining. Hat trick. Blues win 4-2. Berglund said he's waited a long time for it, but the 4 road wins means even more. And that sounds like standard hockey player deflection, except it's probably true. This room needs proof that the change behind the bench has changed something on the ice. Yo said the Blues had to scratch and claw through the game. Allen calls the trip a huge momentum builder. Perron jokes he'll take the assist after handing away the empty netter. And Perron's decision matters here because players know when a guy's been waiting 9 years to do something. Perron could have buried the puck himself, but he chose the better story. So the question is, would you give up an empty net goal to finish a teammate's first hat trick, even if your own numbers need the boost? Most hockey players would say yes, but I'm not sure every player would actually do it. The Blues leave Montreal 5-1 under Yo. Their penalty kill has erased 16 straight chances. But more importantly, the season no longer feels like it's drifting. St. Louis doesn't just hang on to a playoff spot. The Blues finish 46, 29, and 7 with 99 points, take third in the Central, and go 8-0-3 over their final 11 games. Berglund finishes with a career-high 23 goals. He's only got 11 assists. But the scoring surge helps earn him a 5-year extension later in February. In the playoffs, the Blues beat Minnesota in 5 games behind a truly great series by Allen. Berglund contributes 4 assists. Then St. Louis runs into Nashville, a wildcard team that suddenly plays like a monster. The Predators win in 6. Montreal changes coaches 3 days after this game, replacing Michael Theron with Claude Julien. The Canadiens recover enough to finish first in the Atlantic at 47, 26, and 9. But they lose to the Rangers in 6 games in the first round. In the meantime, both teams stabilized, both made the playoffs, but neither got where they expected to go. And for a while there, Berglund's story still looks simple. He's a longtime Blue, dependable veteran, 5 more years in St. Louis. It doesn't quite work out that way, does it? He injures his shoulder training in the summer of 2017 and misses the start of the season. He returns to score 17 goals, 57 games, but the Blues miss the playoffs on the final night. Then on July 1st, 2018, St. Louis trades him to Buffalo with Vladimir Sobotka, Tage Thompson, and 2 draft picks for Ryan O'Reilly. And that becomes one of the biggest trades in Blues history. O'Reilly goes on to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, and St. Louis wins the Cup less than a year later. For Berglund, Buffalo's a bad fit almost immediately. He plays 23 games, scores twice, and eventually stops reporting. The Sabres suspend him, then terminate the remaining years of his contract. Later, Berglund said he needed to return to Sweden and find himself. He doesn't stay away from the game forever, although he's done in the NHL. In 2019, he signs with Djurgården and scores 17 goals in 49 games. He plays one more season with Burness, finishing 2020-21 with 13 goals and 27 points. That becomes his final professional season. His NHL totals are 717 games, 170 goals, and 326 points. And he adds 60 playoff games. No cup, no superstar label, but 10 seasons in St. Louis, an Olympic silver medal, and enough big nights that Blues fans still know exactly who number 21 was. So is Berglund underrated, or is good and occasionally great, sometimes maddening? Exactly the right rating. Next time, we're going to Oakland on November 9th, 2009. That was noisier than I would have liked. Let's see here. Hang on with me a minute here. Okay, hold on. Okay. The Warriors score 146 against Minnesota. Steph Curry's a rookie and scores 8 points. Steven Jackson somehow hands out 15 assists. But Kelena Ezewike is the one who detonates. He's got 31 points in 29 minutes, 13 for 19 shooting, 3 triples, no turnovers. In a game that looks like the start of something bigger. And it is, just not in the way that everybody wants. Warrior 44 is Kelena Ezewike.